I was at Disney World the day my mom called and told me my papa wasn't going to make it much longer. I distinctly remember Aerosmith's Don't Want to Miss a Thing playing in the background. My eyes filled with tears, which hardly ever happens. I'm not a crier. And I felt like it was my cue to get home and make sure I could say goodbye. The greatest man who had ever lived was going to pass, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. He was always there for me, making sure the void in my heart that my biological father left was filled with love. Having a father figure like my grandpa helped me to feel like I was never missing out. The day I got the phone call, I was on vacation with my boyfriend for his first time to Disney World. We were getting ready to board the Star Wars attraction. We were really excited. We had been standing in the Star Wars ride line, which seemed like forever, when my phone rang. My mother was on the other side of the phone. Her vocal tone was daunting. She said, "Papa is not going to make it. Papa is not doing as good as we expected, and I think it's important that you come back and say goodbye." At that point, my stomach instantly dropped. It felt like I had already ridden the biggest roller coaster at the amusement park. As we boarded the Star Wars attraction and buckled ourselves in my heart, it instantly started beating fast, and I felt like the room was closing in on me. That day, I had my very first panic attack, in between my boyfriend and some man with red Mickey Mouse ears, smiling away, having the time of his life. How was it possible that I was feeling so distraught in the happiest place on earth? Instant flashbacks entered my brain. How was I ever going to repay Papa for all the things he had done for me my whole life? Like the time I foolishly allowed a big group of friends to stay with me in a hotel room that my grandparents bought for my 18th birthday. Some of the people there didn't know how to behave, and because of this, ended up ruining a $1 million model in the next room, which I had no knowledge of. Come to find out, the police contacted my grandparents about the matter, and they ended up selling their own pontoon boat to pay off my debt. I was a snotty-nosed, bratty 18-year-old. At the time, I wasn't even that grateful, just glad that my behind was covered, and I could continue partying on. For my later teenage years, I lived with my grandparents. My parents, my mother and my stepfather, had a hard time controlling me, so my grandparents took me in. Many nights I would come in inebriated, and instead of being lectured, my grandfather would sit me down, tell me he loved me, and told me he only wanted better for me. That got through to me much more than my mom putting her finger in my face, telling me that I was just bad and in trouble for every and any little thing. That's how I felt then. I'm a 31-year-old mom now. I understand now. My brain was just throwing flashback after flashback. I was standing in 5th grade choir, and a few rows back was Papa. Then practicing bowling every Tuesday with him after school, and him pulling Kit Kat bar out of my ear. I always enjoyed his lame attempt at magic. I pretended to go along with it to make him happy. And our bike rides. Oh man, our bike rides. Going around the big circle in our neighborhood, just talking and laughing about every little thing. My papa always showed up for me every single day. Now I had to show up for him too before it was too late. We finally got to the hospital, and as I walked into a quiet room off to the left side of the hallway, I heard a symphony of tiny sobs that escaped the room. I finally got to my papa's bedside and sat down beside him and started to cry uncontrollably. I put my head on his chest. He touched my hand. I could feel his IV and cold, wrinkly hand touch mine, and I smiled. And he smiled back. He had a breathing mask, and I heard him say, "Kelsey," very softly. And then he said, "I love you." I can't even begin to tell you what that meant to me. My grandmother said he had been incoherent to even recognize his son or daughter that day. But when he felt my presence, something inside of him wanted to say goodbye too. You might be listening to this wondering why I consider this a special occasion. Most special occasions are having a baby, getting married, meeting your idol. Those are all great things. But to me, saying goodbye to my hero was one of the most special occasions I could have. My papa was born Lars Herbert Langloh, April 19th, 1930, and he died Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016. He was going to be 86 that year. He will always be a part of me until the day I die. I challenge each and every one of you to show up for your loved ones and make sure they know that they're loved every single day. Even though Papa will be gone for 4 years, coming the beginning of the year, his memory will always live on. We love you, Papa. We will see you again. Love you.